Welcome to the Balkan Talks, where we discuss everything business and news related to the Western Balkans. The Balkan Talks is brought to you by WBBG, your partner for doing business in the Western Balkans region. Enjoy the episode.
But the good thing is, of course, I believe very much in entrepreneurship. And I think that's something that is very deep in Balkan people, because they always needed to be a bit entrepreneurial. You know, this fixing mentality that is in entrepreneurial spirit in a way. Because nowadays the internet and the modern way of starting a business has less and less to do with the institutions of the country you live in. So back in the days, of course, it was really hard to start a business out of the blue, but now the barriers of entry should be lower and lower also in these countries, which should enable young people to take matters in their own hands and not be so influenced by whatever government they have.
We're back, man.
We're back, season 2. Sander, how are you feeling?
I'm feeling good.
You good?
Yeah.
You looking forward to the next season?
I'm looking forward to it. I
We're
am.
gonna have a lot of content, good content, new guests.
Hopefully, yeah. Some
New
good
podcast.
guests. Yeah. We're starting on a high, right?
That's very good, yeah.
Starting a really high.
We're starting on a high because for listeners today, we have a new episode of the Balkan Talks.
New season.
New season, new everything actually.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So what do we buy? What do we do?
We've been busy, new studio, new content, new guests, new everything.
Okay.
It's a brand new year, brand new us, brand new everything, isn't it?
Yeah.
Very
New year,
What's so new about you guys?
Well, don't you know us from the past? We've completely become new persons.
Yeah.
I've been hitting the
new
gym.
suits. Yeah.
Suits are new. Yeah, I got this little thing. Does it look good?
Yeah, you look a lot better than me. I look very crappy actually compared to you guys.
Yeah, but you bring new energy into the podcast.
That is true.
That's what we're doing it for.
Okay, good.
Because with our new episode, people, we have a very new guest. And let me introduce you to him. For our Dutch listeners, you might know him as Sander Schimmelpenninck. For our non-Dutch listeners, let us tell you too.
Horrible name for non-Dutch listeners.
Yeah, horrible name.
I apologize for my name, yeah.
But let's tell you about Sander Schimmelpenninck. He is the editor-in-chief of the Dutch magazine Quote. He is also now recently the host of the Op1 TV show, the
Talk show.
Late night talk show. Successor to Pauw, so big shoes to fill.
Yeah.
It's been going well, right?
So far, so good.
So far, so good.
We're winning the talk show war.
Yeah, very good to hear.
Yeah.
Versus
Mrs. Jinek so far, but you never know.
You never know. And he also is a fellow podcaster with the Zelfs podcast.
I am.
Yeah.
I really like making podcasts.
And I love your podcast.
Yeah.
Zelfs podcast is amazing. Like what you and Jaap are doing, it's amazing.
It's controversial to some, but we like doing it. Yeah.
Very good.
Yeah.
Because Sander, you do all of these things. Very interesting, very broad.
Yeah.
You wrote your column now in Volkskrant this week about your broad interests and a lot of things you like doing. But there's one more thing that you have passion for and what you love.
Yeah, it's something that I saw in an article. I think it was Trouw.
Yeah.
Possible. It was like a little piece at the end.
Yeah.
You mentioned something, and I didn't see much response to it in other media. I was like, it was quite interesting.
We find it interesting.
But you have a particular interest in this.
Right.
Yeah.
So can you tell us what that is?
Yeah, well, it's Croatia. So I remember the first time I came to Croatia. I think I was 22 or 23. It was in the days that I was still studying in Rotterdam. And we had a group of friends that sometimes just rented a camper or an old car. And then we would just drive, mostly to Eastern Europe to discover all those countries that we never been to. It's not a place you go with your family when you're a kid. You don't go to the south of France. You don't go, for the summer to Poland or Slovakia.
Hey, living
or
the
whatever.
life in Eastern Europe, man. It's fine.
No, but I was not used to go in that direction. So I always found it very interesting to go to Eastern Europe. And then I think on the second trip, we went down all the way from Prague to Slovenia, Ljubljana, and then we ended up in Croatia, where I, for the first time, saw the Croatian side of the Adriatic, which is much more interesting than the Italian side of the Adriatic, where the sea is like with us, it's coffee colored,
Quite flat. And,
flat and not clear. So then I saw that coastline with all these small islands, and I thought, why didn't anybody tell me about this place? And we went down all the way to Makarska, I think, was the furthest, the southernmost point we've been to. And I always had the idea, okay, so if I ever make money, if I ever have a bit of money left over, then I wanna buy something here. I wanna invest in a little house by the sea here, because it's so empty, it's so unspoiled. It felt so pure. I felt a bit like, we Dutch people like to conquer the world. We like to discover new places. That's in our blood, I think. And I got the feeling there's still a lot to be discovered there. And so then I started working. I kind of forget about Croatia. And then at some point I shared an office in Amsterdam with two guys that were brokers in Croatia. They were selling real estate to Dutch and Belgian buyers in Croatia and also a bit in Montenegro. I really liked their stories. They were super enthusiastic. One of the guys, he lived actually for 2 years in close to Split, Rogosnica. And I thought, why don't I just come along with them for a trip? Because I've always been interested in Croatia. And then I went there, and I went a couple of times there, and I thought, okay, really, I need to do something with this. And I started looking for an investment, because at that time I sold my pizza place. So I have a
famous pizza place from the Zelf podcast history.
I have a typical millennial career, let's say. So I at some point I had a pizza place which I sold. So we made a bit of money, and I thought with a friend, let's invest it in Croatia. So we bought a house in Hvar, the very beautiful island off the coast of Split, which we converted into 4 apartments, which we're now renting out to tourists. The house was crap. It was nothing when we bought it. So it's really nice to change something which is nothing into something nice. And
it was all in the old-fashioned Yugoslav style, wasn't it?
Yeah,
it's all beige.
It was in the city center of Hvar, which is of course beautiful, Venetian, old stone houses. And this was actually not so interesting. It was built in, I think, 68 or something, typical Yugo style, concrete,
socialist building.
Yeah, nothing special. Crappy quality. So it was not so tempting for a lot of people, but I saw the potential because it had a lot of outside space, and it felt really like a little oasis in the busy Hvar center. So we made something really nice out of it, and we're actually now expanding to 5 more apartments in Hvar town, and also a little beach shed. So I've been coming to Croatia, especially Hvar, since 2016, a lot. So about 5 to 6 times a year I go there. Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah, because Croatia changed a lot over the years, right? Like I can remember when I was a little kid, when I was like, 10, 11, 12, and we would go, you know how it goes. Like you go to Bosnia, you go there for a few days, visit family, like recognizable. And then we go to Croatia for, a week, 2 weeks to the beach. Yeah. And we would go to, Istria or Split or those places or some villages in the vicinity. Yeah. I remember when I was little, I would go to these places and there would be just Croatians and Bosnians and maybe some Serbs, but Serbs mostly go to Montenegro. Yeah. And that would be it. And now, 2019, 2020, you go to a Split or something, and you have those people like handing out tickets for clubs, like on the Riva and Split, the pushers, and you have Airbnb everywhere, and it totally changed.
But when you were a kid, that was like in the early 2000s, late 90s.
Up to 2008, 2009, I can remember.
But then of course there were almost no Serbs probably going to Croatia because it was also fresh.
Yeah, Montenegro mostly they mostly go there. Croatians and Bosnians mostly go to Croatia or to Neum.
Yeah, but I think it's now coming back. I hear people being happy about the return of mostly the Belgrade women, because
I can get into that.
no, because the Croatian, especially guys I know, they're the typical beach guys. They live for the season, typical island people.
Yeah.
So they just run their beach bars in the summertime, and in the winter they do nothing. And they were all, they grew up with the Belgrade girls. That was like a phenomena in Croatia. So they're always, they have like legendary stories about the Belgrade girls, because apparently the Croatian girls are not so open-minded, let's say, and they're very happy that they're coming back now.
Times are coming back.
Yeah,
it's the same with Banja Luka girls. Don't forget that
Really?
was also
Yeah,
always legendary in former Yugoslavia. The girls from Banja Luka, like
I've only heard the stories, but they were legendary.
yeah, no, but like
But from your father or from?
Yeah, no. Like
I can't say.
I had this experience once. Like I'll tell you. Like me and my student society when I used to study, we went to Vienna for a week. You have study trips, and you do something interesting, and then you just drink the rest of the week. You know how it goes. Yeah. And we one day we went to the museum, and then I and a few people, we took an Uber back. And like in Uber you can see the name of your driver.
Yeah.
And I remember like getting the Uber, it got accepted, and I looked at the app and it was like Goran. And I was like, oh yeah, this is gonna be one of us. Yeah. So I got into the Uber and just like got in the front, started talking with him, oh, Jesse Staima. He was like, huh? Oh, you're so that conversation starts. Yeah. And he asked me like, where am I from? So I said, yeah, I'm from Amsterdam, Netherlands, but my family is from Banja Luka. And he was like, oh, Banja Luka. Oh, the story is true. And I was like, what stories? He said like, that in Banja Luka, for every guy, you had 100 women. And I was like, you know the old stories, because those are like the old stories which existed about Banja Luka.
They still exist.
They still exist. They still exist.
The stories exist, but the girls all moved to Germany.
Yeah, probably.
So to all listeners, Banja Luka, place to be, Serbia, Belgrade. There you go. Yeah. Okay, but so Croatia, that's your link with the Western Balkans. That's what we want to talk with you about today. Yeah. I think that's really fun. We're going to talk about business, the things you've been doing there a bit more too. So what do you think about like doing business in Croatia and your experiences there and going there, and like what was your experience going there for the first time? Being there like fresh, new. Of course, you went with more experienced people the first time. But like, how did that process go for you?
Well, it was actually a lot of fun to buy this house, to renovate it. Of course, you hear these stories about corruption and how everything goes slow, and bureaucracy, and how Croatia is a third world country in some way. But actually, I kind of like the old-fashioned way of things going there. I mean, you need to stand in line for stuff, and you need stamps for everything. I kind of liked it. In Holland, you need to do everything digitally. You never meet anyone. You can buy a house online. There's no feeling. There's no personal touch. And here, you need to have a local lawyer who you meet, who you have lunch with. Which is very important to have a good lawyer. And then, then you meet people, then you talk, then you introduce yourself, and then, it's an old-fashioned way of doing business, and I kind of like that.
The human element.
Yeah, the human element, and you need to be humble. I mean, of course, you're some kid from Amsterdam. Buying a house, in the middle of just Croatians. So you need to, introduce yourself to the neighbors. You need to tell your story. You need to tell your plans.
How were the reactions of the local Croatians when you how were they like towards you? Like you say, a Dutch kid, quote unquote.
Well, I'm very aware of the perception of some foreign guy buying property, because I live in Amsterdam. I've always been writing very critically about Airbnb, which I think is a disaster for Amsterdam. It's absolutely destroying the city, at least parts of it, because Amsterdam is a city where young people want to live. They young couples, they compete with actually tourists for the same living space. So that's extremely bad for a city when whole streets are becoming sort of hotels. And then I would be a complete hypocrite if I would do the same thing in Croatia and not being involved and not being sensitive about this stuff. So I really picked a house which was empty, and nobody was interested in doing anything with it. And I talked with my neighbors and said, like, yeah, what do you think about me buying this house? And they were super welcoming. They said, like, yeah, do something with it. It's also better for the value of our house. And everybody's renting out in Hvar. Hvar is a tourist town, so there is absolutely no other way of making money than through tourism. So nobody will blame you for renting it out. But of course, I do think it's very important, especially in a small community like Hvar town is, that you meet up with the neighbors, that they know who you are, that you invite them over. So we organized a little barbecue when we finished the renovation. Nice, yeah. And we had the neighbors from everywhere. But Hvar, of course, is a bit different because it's always been a very touristy town with people from Austria, Germans, British. We have some people from abroad around us as well. So in that way, it's probably a bit easier to do something like this in Hvar than in, I don't know, a less known town.
Like countries like Albania
or
those
of
more
course,
southern places.
But maybe in places like that, people would be even more happy to find foreign investors.
Yeah,
that's true.
I think Croatia is not so, especially on a higher level, like on a governmental level, is not so great at welcoming foreign investment. They do not such a great job, if you ask me. If you compare it to Montenegro, where everybody's welcome, which is also a bit sketchy, of course. It's also, people with money. You can ask yourself where they get it from. Middle Eastern money, Chinese money, Russian money. Croatia is a bit more protective, which is also good in a way. But you need to find a middle way of preserving your country as it is, preserving your beautiful coastline, but also welcoming the good kind of investors.
But now it helps that like Croatia has become an EU member like a few years ago, so that's like already something which like it adds to the like easiness to do business and those kind of elements.
It does, but still you see that the big projects, like for example on Hvar, there have been two big projects. Nikki Beach, the famous beach club, they wanted to open on the east part of Hvar. A couple of Norwegian investors, they tried for like 5 years, and they ended up just giving up because of the legal business, the jealousy, the stupid local fights. Yeah. They just gave up, and now I think the same thing is happening with the Four Seasons Resort, which is also planned just outside of Starigrad, the second city on Hvar. For some reason, the big projects don't take off in Croatia. And that's really harmful because investors see those big projects and they think, okay, if a couple of very experienced Norwegian investors can't get it done, I'm out of here. You know?
Exactly. So it might be a good idea to start small if you want to do something in Croatia.
Yeah.
Like get in there at least.
Yeah. But you see that there's a larger...
That was my idea,
like some kind of trend of this, like one famous example I always know is that like when they try to build the highway, along the Croatian coast, like all the way down to Dubrovnik, like on the Bosnian part, they can't get over because like there's no cooperation between them. I think that's like symptomatic sometimes of the lack of cooperation in the region, and also like on the micro level, which it happens in cities, also on a macro level. And those are really things that if you would do it better and market it better, people would start coming and be willing and able and ready to invest too.
There are insane amounts of jealousy. So you have a group of people who can get money for something that's worth not so much, but which is a good deal for everyone. But then still you get, I talked to one of these Norwegians who was, backing out of this project, and he told me like, they get money where they have nothing now. So it's a really good deal for everyone. But then still the jealousy is so big that they rather have nothing than that the neighbor has in their eyes too much.
That's a classical one.
And it's really sad because it keeps your small. If you think that small, you'll stay small. That is, but for me, you know, I'm not a big investor. I have not the crazy amounts of money. So for me, it's fun to do these smaller projects and to be part of the community. And I think if you are willing to do that, if you're willing to invest time in relationships, in getting to know the place, then you can do good investments.
Yeah.
Yeah. You need to go a bit under the radar and don't try to create a fuzz. You know, don't do big stuff.
And one of the things you always hear about from people, like that's one of the experiences I have. Like when I start talking to, let's say, Dutch people, Western people, like anybody who goes there for the first time and like gets to know the people and the region, like the first reaction is always like the people, they're so nice, they're so welcoming, so hospitable, all of those things. Like how was that for you when you went there the first time? What was your like first impression of the people? And
yeah, well, exactly that. So the first time I had a trip to Hvar, and I was really looking for something to buy. Then I just started talking with pretty much anybody I met, especially around my age. So I met Ivan, who's now a really good friend of mine. He runs a beach bar in Dubovica, which is like the nicest bar in Hvar, or the nicest bay. I need to say Uvala. He turned out to be a great guy. He's a designer. He lives in Zagreb during the winter, and he's running his beach bar in the summertime. And he showed me around. He introduced me to another guy called Amir, and he's a local super charming guy. Also my age. He runs a hostel. So then you're on your way. And then I met some guy who was running or like preserving the nicest hotel, Little Green Bay. It's called Ilya, a guy from Slavonia who did the floorings, and then I asked him to do my floors as well. And then you just keep on meeting people who can actually help you. And for some reason, it feels like everybody I meet is also, willing to help and has some sort of a skill that I need. It's it's a country full of fixers.
Every person from the Western Balkans is either a carpenter or can fix a car.
Yeah, exactly.
Or they can all do.
Well,
everything.
I'm from a country where men can't do anything like that. So
But if they don't,
he's looking like
if they can't do it, they'll pretend like they can do it.
That's
also
one
thing
they do a lot.
Which we're very good at.
That's true.
You also forgot to mention that they're really good at making like a killer vat of fucking rakia.
Yeah, that's also very important
in their backyard.
Do you bring rakia with you when you go back to the Netherlands?
Do you even like it though? That's maybe more important question.
No, I think rakia is not so big on Hvar. You have more Mediterranean drinks like grappa and pelinkovac. That's more it's close to Italy, it's less raki.
Well, it used to be Italian for a long time too. Like
Lesina, it's the Italian name of the island. It was very Italian. There's one in this bay I just told you about, the Ivan's Bay, let's say Dubovica. You have this beautiful house, almost like a castle on a cape, where some old Italian count still lives. And
really,
it's really the place you should go to. He's he's Croatian, but his family is Venetian nobility, and he hates tourists. So he's Kazanric, Ivan Kazanric. He's a great guy. I really like him. He's always drunk, and he plays very loud classical music from his window. So you have this beautiful, pristine beach full of tourists. And when he thinks it's too much, he just puts the volume on the highest level. And then Bach goes, in the middle of August, goes over the beach. And then some people, they can't stand it. They go away. And then, and if he thinks a girl is too fat to be in a bikini, he yells from his window,
"Oh, wow.
Get out of my beach. You're too fat."
He also sounds like somebody who would give like a Great Gatsby-esque parties. Like,
Oh,
on the beach or something.
he's a great guy. If I would ever write a book, I would take him as my main character.
Character, yeah.
Wow.
And he has like 6 kids with 4 different women in Denmark and Sweden, and it's a typical Croatian coastal guy. Let's say.
They all do this. Yeah.
He is living the life though.
Yeah.
This is the Croatian beach life. I can confirm.
Can you confirm? Yes. How many children do you have?
I don't know, to be honest.
You didn't count?
I didn't count them yet.
All right. Yeah.
You never
Who
know.
knows what happens?
So, but I'm interested, like when you speak with your Dutch friends or relatives, what do you tell them about Croatia? Like, what do you tell them about your?
Well,
experience?
when I thought of buying something there, the first reaction of my parents, of my friends, was like, "Why Croatia? Where is that even? Isn't that they mix it? They have no clue." So even smart people here in Holland, they think Croatia is somewhere between Moldavia and Ukraine or something. They really have no idea. And then I took my parents there for the first time, and my sister. And they fell in love like me. Everybody, it's the easiest sell there is. There's just something about the name which Croatia sounds not so great. I don't know. It's not like Montenegro, which reminds people of Monaco or something fancy. So Croatia has still a world to win when it comes to the sound of the name.
But it's Hrvatska really like.
Hrvatska, yeah.
Croatia is more the creation of English and Western languages.
Hrvatska.
I don't know if Hrvatska sounds better.
It sounds better to me.
Hrvatska?
Yeah, Hrvatska sounds better.
It sounds better
Croatia.
to us because we're Bosnians.
That's
right?
maybe the
No, but it's just, I think it's just Dutch people, because my girlfriend, she's Swedish, and in Sweden, Scandinavia, Croatia has been much more popular than in Holland because they like sailing so much. If you're really into sailing, then you go to Croatia. And for Americans, which is actually, I think, the biggest group of tourists coming to Hvar, which is insane, Americans, because they need to fly so far. Croatia is a premium brand. It's all Europe. So Italy, Croatia, they don't have this feeling with it that we have in Holland. Croatia here is not A quality, it's B quality. Which is, of course, an old-fashioned idea, but I'm trying to change that, of course.
Yeah, but because even then, like when you look at the Croatia now, the like Dalmatian coast, Split, Zadar, Rijeka, all the cities, it's kind of like you're in Spain, like on the coast or something.
Yeah, it's improving super fast. Yeah, the quality of the restaurants, the quality of accommodation, it's really, really improving super fast. I remember.
Speak English.
Yeah, they speak English so well. It's really nice, and especially the younger generation. They're pretty much all nice. Really. And I'm always I'm really happy when I'm there. It's really it's just small, it's not a big city. Split it's a town, and you feel relaxed. Of course, the weather is always great, and that helps a lot. On a rainy day, of course, it's less impressive, but there's something to it. The fresh smell of pine trees. I really feel happy when I'm there.
Crickets at night.
Yeah,
that's one of my favorites always.
I also think I feel like maybe Game of Thrones sold Croatia a bit.
Dubrovnik.
Insane big help to Croatian tourism. Yeah,
right.
But then again, that is for me like the negative side to a lot, because when you see what's happening to Dubrovnik now, it's like Venice 2.0, and it's really for like a historical city like that.
Yeah.
It's a bit
but
too
for Dubrovnik, it's the destiny of Dubrovnik. I mean, it's too small to have any other function in this modern economy than just being pretty. It is really a hopeless situation. But you just need to limit the amount of people going in there. You need to charge the hell out of them, make money for the country.
And they do that.
And they do that.
Yeah.
They do that. But, in other parts of Croatia, I started by saying things go slow and they're not so super welcoming for an investment. Of course, that has its downsides, but it also has an upside of, things go slow. So things, still feel more or less the same as they always did. So you do keep that character, that authenticity.
Yeah.
So I don't know. Maybe it's for the best that things go slow in Croatia.
Yeah.
Why do you think that the country hasn't been that much in the spotlight yet, like over the years? Like let's say the Western European or US spotlight, like now it's been going on. But why did it take?
But let me just add to that, because I feel like a lot of my friends growing up, they went to Croatia for partying. But one of the things that the more interesting thing is, why isn't it really known for business investments and what's because every year for the past maybe 10 years, somebody I know went to Croatia, just
Easy,
to the beach. But the more serious stuff is kind of, I feel that's kind of
disconnected a bit still.
Right.
Yeah. In a way, Croatia is of course spoiled with the tourism. It's easy money. You work the season is not even so long. You work like 4 months a year, and then you make your money for the rest of the year. They really have this rhythm. It makes you slow. It makes you not so creative, because people will come anyway. And of course, there's a big difference between continental and coastal Croatia. Yeah. They are like different countries. But Croatia is very rich as a country. I mean, it's a quite empty country. It has great resources, especially when it comes to sustainable energy. They have wind, the famous Bura. They have water. They have lakes. They have mountains.
Sun energy.
Sun, of course,
like
solar. Yeah, they have it all.
Don't they even have like oil? Like, don't pin me on this, but don't they have like?
I think there are some small fields in the Adriatic, but it's nothing special. No.
But I think that fun that you're saying oil, like the effect is like kind of similar what you get to like Saudi Arabia, which runs
you get
like
lazy
80% on oil, and when you have that, you can afford just relying on that.
And tourism is Croatia's oil.
Basically.
Basically.
Yeah, and then of course that doesn't go for Zagreb and the inland part, which is, I like Zagreb. You have some initiatives and young entrepreneurs. You have this Mate Rimac guy, the famous electrical sports car builder, who is he's staying in Croatia, even though he says like, I should have moved to Germany like 5 years ago, because it's just insane what I'm doing here. I'm paying taxes. I don't get enough support. In any other country, they would subsidize the hell out of me, and they would support me in all possible manners. But here, they don't help me at all. But still, he chooses to stay in Croatia.
Yeah, what do you think about that? Because like that's one of the biggest problems that we're facing, like in the Western Balkans and countries like Croatia, like young people moving away.
Yeah, that's
moving
horrible.
away in general. What's your opinion on this then?
Yeah, well, of course, you hope that it's just it's a swing, that they will come back. But yeah, it is pretty dramatic when all these young bright people move abroad. I think as Europeans, as rich Europeans from Western countries, you have sort of a responsibility to not drain the brains of all these countries. And it's really hard to think of other measures than just limiting the amount of people that can go out, because we have this freedom of labor and movement. So it's I don't have the solution, but it's really dramatic. I really don't like it, and I think I feel almost like we as Dutch and Germans and Swedish or whatever, we have a responsibility to. Because we get all these bright people who work hard, who are contributing to our economy, and we are weakening already weak economies in the South.
Yeah, but that's why I think like it should be indeed a responsibility, but also like something that also benefits you. Like it's a win-win situation. If you go invest there, if you go set up projects there, you help those people stay there. You help them get education there, get opportunities there.
Maybe start
and at the same time, you're making a profit because like in this region, you have so many opportunities.
Right. It's kind of also a social entrepreneurship. Let's say you have a positive impact on that regard.
Yeah. So if you put it together, and like one of the most beautiful things that I see at times is you see that people who did leave before, let's say like 10 years, 15 years ago, but who like now, like maybe 5 years ago, go back, set up a company, do something, take the stuff they learned from, from Germany, Netherlands, US, wherever, and go set up projects, set up things. Like one of the greatest examples, I think we know him well, Eddie Chustovic, from Australia.
Yeah.
He's like a social entrepreneur who did well in Australia.
Yeah.
And then he started setting up the BAFF, Bosnia and Herzegovina Futures Foundation.
Yeah.
And they go around Bosnia and giving grants to students, doing interesting projects, good
locally,
research.
right? They try to educate people, help them, like
excellent
coach
students.
them, start businesses, set up networks and organizations, and it's really
that's
nice,
what you need. Like you need like in general, the first movers will be the people who were from the region, people who have some tie, who are whose parents are from there, who are themselves from there. But the next wave, it has to have a follow up, because like the diaspora, like the people who are, there's a limit to them. It's not infinite. You need like follow up of also Western companies and entrepreneurs who become interested in going there, setting up projects, investing, bringing work with them.
Yeah, it's difficult. I think. Well, when I talk to young Croatians, our age, I'm not that young anymore. I'm 35. Are you still young then? No, I don't know.
Is it young adult then still?
Yeah, I don't know. I'm a middle-aged guy probably. But they all say the same thing. Like, you guys need to help us because we don't trust our government. Our government sucks. So we've always been under someone. We've been under the Venetians. We've been under the Austrians. No, that's actually what the Croatians say. So we're really not able to govern ourselves. So please, I rather have you guys in Brussels, making the rules and telling us how society works. I find that quite heavy to
This is what my dad says too. My dad says there will be no order in the Western Balkans until EU steps in and regulates everything.
I mean, this is
it's very pessimistic.
Disclaimer: this is my personal opinion, but that's some like communist nonsense right there.
Hey, I don't agree with it either. But my dad was, he grew up in beauty of
course, Banja Luka,
Yugoslavia, and also Banja Luka, of course. I don't agree with it either, but it does show what Sander says. It shows like
it shows the deep lack of trust in the own institutions,
right?
Which is of course sad. And is something that's not restored in a period of a couple of years. That takes time. And the big question is, does a country like Croatia have that time? Because if the whole young right generation moves out, then you don't get a new one easily.
Well, my opinion on this is, I've mentioned this multiple times before, but my opinion on this is that it's going to take, like you say, it's going to take a very long time probably for the institutions, the political parties, and all these things. They're really ingrained, entrenched in their way of thinking. They're quite young. They're relatively young democracies when you compare them with the Netherlands, with Western Europe. The best course of action for people is not to count on that change, but, educate themselves and become more, let's say, entrepreneurial in every way.
I believe very much in that.
And try and take matters into their own hands and start their own organizations and businesses, because we've heard this in Bosnia so many times, like, the government and this and that. And
all over the region, you hear it.
But
the good thing is, of course, I believe very much in entrepreneurship. And I think that's something that is very deep in Balkan people, because they always needed to be a bit entrepreneurial. This fixing mentality that is, entrepreneurial spirit in a way. Because, nowadays the internet and the modern way of starting a business, has less and less to do with the institutions of the country you live in. So, back in the days, of course, it was really hard to start a business out of the blue. But now the barriers of entry should be lower and lower also in these countries, which should enable young people to take matters in their own hands and not be so influenced by whatever government they have.
And I also think what is also like hopeful for me, like I'm an optimist when it comes to European cooperation and like the things which are possible there. I think one of the things you are going to see now, like now the EU Croatia is going to be chair of the EU for the next half year. And one of the interesting things that you're seeing now is that they are looking to, like, I read an interesting article on this. They're looking to like get some kind of brokership position in the more eastern and southern parts of Europe, because like to take a example, like the Netherlands, where we're from, Netherlands has always been like some kind of broker in the European Union, you know, like balancing Anglo-Saxons with the continentals, the Germans, the French, the British. Well, British are leaving
we're
now.
actually in the middle, yeah.
But yeah, we were always like some kind of broker in the middle, like making things happen in the EU. And like Croatia is like moving in a certain way now, politically, like at the top level, to also like take this role upon themselves to
For the Balkans, maybe.
also for Eastern Europe, Southern Europe, but also for the Western Balkans. Like, they're also trying to stimulate. There'll be a summit in Zagreb in a few months, I think, where they will be talking about this. And they're really trying to use their position to get Northern Macedonia and Albania in the EU, which makes me optimistic about there is some kind of consciousness about need for change, need for, you know, like there has to something has to happen.
Yeah,
and they are taking their responsibility in that sense too.
Yeah,
that's
good.
Yeah, maybe maybe they don't like to be at the edge of the European Union as well. They don't like to have their border controls. So they think let's have Serbia join us so they can do the border patrol.
Yeah, well, the Hungarians also have lots.
It's a bit of a cynical reason.
Yeah, well, there are a lot of like cynical reasons underneath, like some things which seem okay. But that's the Western. That's like half of Europe in general.
Of course, everybody has his own interests, but I think Croatians are in general, especially of course the younger generations, are happy to be in the EU. They're not anti-Europe, anti-Brussels. They see more positive things coming from Brussels than from Zagreb, I think, in general. I mean, now you were just mentioning Neum, you know, this stupid small stretch of course, Bosnia. Sorry, it's not stupid.
Yeah,
nice save.
You deserve. You deserve a much larger part of the coast.
Did you know how Neum came into existence?
Ottomans wanted to have a little.
You know this.
I don't know.
I've heard. I don't know if this is what you're referring to, but I heard it was a resort for old people.
No,
is that possible.
No. The reason, like, how Neum came into existence,
but the Ottomans wanted to have their harbor city.
Yeah. It was a buffer for the Ottomans. No, because it was Venetian, and they wanted to build a buffer for the Ottomans, so the Ottomans wouldn't invade. So they gave it to the Venetians in exchange for the protection as a border. So that's how it came to existence.
Nice.
It's a weird like change in history which built this now.
I just, for the record, Bosnia used to go up all the way up north to Zadar back in the day.
God,
so
okay, we're gonna start this.
No, we're not. We're not just gonna.
Yeah. There we go again. So,
right.
I'm not gonna be patriotic Croatian now.
No worries.
You can play.
I'm not actually Croatian, so yeah.
No worries.
No, but my point was they're now building this Pejac bridge. Which is funded with European money, of course. So the Croatians actually see big projects happening because of Europe.
Yeah.
So that's the best promotion Europe can have. Finally, they have their bridge, which is super important to them. You know, the way of conquering the hearts of people in the Balkans as Europe is just to get stuff done,
to show them what's possible.
Yeah, because like when you look at the broader region, like let's go like beyond Croatia a little bit and like see what's happening. Like there is so much stuff happening. There's so many possibilities when you look around, and even like in a very like simple economic fashion, like there is a lot of labor, talented people. Land is not too expensive. It's close to Europe, close to a lot of countries.
Yeah, it's very
there's so
central.
so many opportunities,
especially inland Croatia, Slavonia. I mean, I know a couple of people from there, from Slavonia, and they always say like, everything you put in the ground, it just grows. You know, it's such fertile soil, and you can buy it for nothing. It's all for sale. The houses, they cost like 20,000 euros. You have a full house.
They make
business
good
opportunities
there too.
Probably. Yeah.
Do you have any ambition to do more stuff in the region, or just gonna keep focusing on Croatia now?
No, I keep focusing on Croatia now. Of course, I need to focus on my career here in Holland as well. I just see it as an investment. It's not like a job, but you know, what is really nice about investing money there is that you can create jobs. So it's very unlike what you do here in Amsterdam. If you would have an apartment and rent it out to tourists, we have one girl, Daniela, who's great from Zagreb, who's the full summer season, running the business there.
Oh.
And she's great, and yeah, she has a job thanks to our little investment. So that's just really nice. And when we're going to have a second building, we're going to have another person working there. So that is just a win-win, because if you are in a position, if you have the privilege to invest some money somewhere, and you can do it in a place that needs economic activity, you can create also a job, then everybody's happy. And you can do that in the Balkans. So and that's quite unique.
You want to keep doing that.
I want to keep doing that. And I need to explore more of the Balkans, because I haven't been too much in Bosnia. I have not been in Serbia at all. So those famous Belgrade girls, I haven't seen.
You want to join
one.
us like on a tour of
I
cities
should.
with beautiful girls?
No, it's not about the girls.
Okay.
Great.
I'm married, by the way.
We of course, but we can be interested in nature and natural phenomena. But I need to see more of the region. And I think deep down inside, most people in the Balkan know that they're pretty much the same people. Croatians are not, especially in the younger generation, they're not hostile against Serbians. They all like Serbians. They all say we're all friends. We're just pretending to fight. But deep down inside, we know we're all the same, and we need to leave the past behind. And so I think the upcoming years there will be more integration as well in the region. Time will heal the wounds. I really think that.
I believe so too.
And when you look at Croatia, what can Dutch people or like Western people learn from countries like Croatia or the people there?
Just invite people over. Dutch people are, of course, famous for being cold and not welcoming. If you meet someone, you don't consider that person's fast to be a friend, nor would you invite him over for dinner. In Croatia, that's very normal. You're new, come on over, have a drink, or you want to have food, or sit down here, you have food. That's very, very unusual in Holland, but I really like it. I like the way they are with their families. They're very much family people. In Holland, they're family people, but also in a group. So in Holland, we are very much family people, but very inside the house. So your family is your family. Mm. But in Croatia, families go out on the square and they mingle, and all the kids, they play together. It's just a very safe place for kids, I always feel. So I know one Dutch guy who fell in love with some local bartender when he was going out there, and he started a family on Hvar, and he has two daughters there, and nice. I see him walking with his daughters and his wife, and I always think, he made the right choice to raise a family there on an island. It's just such a nice place to grow up, I can imagine.
So maybe because you and your girlfriend are going to have a debate, Sweden or the Netherlands,
maybe
you can find a middle ground moving to
then
Croatia.
The Balkans would be neutral. Exactly. That would be interesting.
So maybe
Balkans are known for being neutral.
Yes.
It's
a perfect neutral ground to raise your kids. You have 3 passports. Or EU.
No, but we both really, really like Croatia. So she loves the sea. She's also living by the sea in Sweden. So Croatia is our country together as well, and who knows? I think she would rather move to Croatia than to Holland.
Right. Yeah. Well, I can see that the weather and
I can see that too. Yeah. I mean, Holland is boring. It's flat, and nature-wise, it's nothing.
But we still love it.
We do.
I love to hate it. Yeah.
Yeah. That's also always.
No, but of course, I love my country. It's well organized, but I like nature, and nature is just crap in Holland.
But what can Croatians maybe learn from Dutch people? Maybe that's a good one too.
Almost everything, of course.
Almost everything.
Yeah, Dutch people are arrogant fucks. it's a classical north-south divide. You know, we can be much warmer. We can be much more interested in other people. You know your neighbors, all that stuff. Cook better. Well, the Croatians have some things to learn as well. By the way,
Example?
well, the kitchen is improving, but sometimes, you know, if you're in these touristy places, they just, you know, they give you something crappy.
Yeah, but it's touristy places. So
Yeah.
that's not really
No,
representation.
yeah, but they need, they can
Like,
be more subtle.
Croatians make one mistake. They say burek sa sirom. Do you know this
Yeah,
story?
yeah.
That's the only big mistake that Croatians are making when
Yeah.
it comes to food. And for the rest, because
Yeah,
it's,
the best
it's
stuff
burek
comes.
people.
Yeah, the
It's-
best stuff
it's-
comes from Bosnia.
yeah,
eh?
yeah.
The cevapi and
It's burek and it's sirnica and it's not burek sa sirom. But
For the record, by
for
the
the
way.
record, I want to have that on tape.
yeah. Well, yeah. Okay, I don't really care for your stupid sandwiches with cheese. No, but
That
they
hurts.
they need to improve. They need to improve the kitchen here and there. Yeah, but of course, what the Croatians can learn from Holland, order, discipline. You know, don't start drinking if you're renovating a house at 10 o'clock in the morning. That would be nice.
This sounds like an interesting story.
Yeah, they do that. Yeah, you know, you need to check them and think long-term thinking. You know, Croatians are absolute short-term thinking people.
Yeah.
You know, if they have the money on the bank and they have enough money for the rest of the month, then, you know, the thinking stops at all. They don't know how to deal with money. You know, they don't have debt. You know, they don't have mortgages. So all the houses, they're fully owned. So they don't know how to, you know, get a loan and calculate how much you need to make. You know, they're not economically smart. I would
Savvy.
say.
Yeah,
Savvy.
Yeah.
No, but of course that has a historical explanation because, you know, in communism, what use is economic savviness in that system, but it will come.
Yeah.
It will.
Well, that was always the story, you know. The director and the cleaner have the same beach house. So
Yeah.
that was that was the utopia of.
Of course, why would you work harder then?
Yeah. There you go.
Yeah, and it's of course the historical differences between Holland and Croatia are deep. I mean, it's big, and if you know, in any aspect of life, when it comes to your attitudes toward work, your sense of taste, you know, everything is explained by this socialist history, of course.
Yeah.
Sani, what do you think? Should we take Sander to Bosnia and Serbia sometime?
Always welcome. And all of your friends and family are also welcome.
Yeah.
We make some mean, like sheep on a stick, like meat. The Bosnians, pečenje. That's our stuff, you know. We love meat. Are you vegetarian?
Are you vegetarian?
No, I actually I have been vegetarian for the last month as an experiment.
That's a
no,
bad
no,
fit.
no. But I'm not an.
But you
I love
you haven't
meat
been there for the last
way
month.
too much.
You
I haven't been in the region.
So,
No. I will go in 3 weeks, and then I'm done with the vegetarian stuff.
All right.
That's going to be tricky then.
All right. Well, no worries. I mean, you're always welcome. So
Thank you. Hvala.
Yeah. Thank you very much, Sander, in general for your experience in
Yeah.
the region. I think it was very interesting.
yeah, definitely.
I hope so.
What was your main takeaways, Sani, when you hear about his experience?
Well, I think it's clear that, you know, there's much more to be gained than, you know, a lot of people know. And you know, Sander already explained a lot of it. Like you just have to go there and make the effort to get to know the people. They're really friendly. They'll help you.
Yeah.
There's lots of opportunities, and it doesn't have to be big. It can be small.
Yeah.
So I mean, these are things we know, and
Yeah.
I'm glad that
I think the most important thing, at least when it comes to Croatia, if you want to do something there, if you want to invest or you know put any euro in that country, you really need to enjoy being there yourself as well.
Yes.
You can't see it as just a country where you can make money, because first of all, it's not a country where you can make money easily, and secondly, people don't appreciate it, and they're right.
Right. Yeah.
I think that's a very good note to end it on. Sander, we always let our guests also plug whatever they want. So you obviously have your houses.
I don't need to plug anything.
You don't need to plug anything.
I don't know. I know.
No?
I just need to plug Croatia in Holland, and I do that all the time. So I really I'm very lucky with everything I do. So I don't need to plug anything.
There you go.
Nice. All right. Well, Sander, thank you so much for your time. Thank you for being our guest.
Thank you
It
very
was
much.
a really,
Thank you.
really interesting talk.
And I look forward to our trip to Sarajevo.
Yeah, me too. Definitely.
Thank you very much.
Nice.
Thank you.
Thank you for listening to this episode of the Balkan Talks. Don't forget to follow the Western Balkans Business Group on LinkedIn, Facebook, and YouTube, and at WBBG Official on Instagram. If you enjoyed the podcast, please leave us a positive review and follow our podcast to stay up to date on all our future uploads. You might also want to check out any of the other episodes of the Balkan Talks, which are available online. If you would like to learn more about the Western Balkans and all the opportunities that exist in the region, please contact WBBG at www.wbbusinessgroup.com. WBBG, Connecting the Balkans.